Today I talk about why our fears are often worse than the realities. Welcome to episode number 23 of the Ian Luebbers journey. So one of my good friends is visiting me right now, and we did a workout earlier today, and we decided afterwards to hop in the pool. And it's pretty cold here right now, really cold for Austin. It's like in the 50s, and so we thought the pool would be pretty frigid, but we decided to hop in anyway, and we braced ourselves and expecting it to be just like a blast of icy water, and surprisingly, it was actually warmer than the air. It was pretty warm. It was really enjoyable, and when we got out, it was colder. And I want to use this as an analogy for something that I've been confronting more and more in my life, which is the idea that our fears, the things that we feel the most resistance towards, feel most uncomfortable about, and just in general feel the most fear towards, are often far, far easier to deal with when we actually go through them versus when we think about them. Meaning, the things we dread, the actual sensation of dread is often the worst part. And I know this because there are so many examples I could use. One of my favorites, one of the things that's most tangibly burned into my memory, is running 400. So I was a 400 runner for a lot of my track and field career, and I would just absolutely dread it in the days coming up, and particularly the hours leading up before. I would just feel a massive amount of stress when I thought about running. And then when I started running, if you've ever run a 400, you know that it's not necessarily actually hard until the end. The final 200 meters, the final 100 meters, the final 50 meters are brutal, but the beginning isn't. And if you actually break it down in time, it's only about 15 to 30 seconds long. It's really short, the amount of time that you're actually in pain. But we create hours and hours and hours of pain and discomfort and uncertainty for ourselves by avoiding things. And this is something that I've tried to instill into my nervous system more and more over time, because it's so important to understand that when I avoid something, when I have, to use a concrete example, a big blog post or sales page to write, or a massive strategy to craft that I've been putting off, I'll often be putting it off because the classic reasons: fear of it not being good enough, fear of it not working, like all these classic fears that often cause procrastination. And almost inevitably, when I get into it, it's not that bad, or it turns out way better than I expected. And it happens on such a consistent basis that at times I find myself realizing the ridiculousness of my fear, how the actual discomfort that I go through, even when you sit down and start writing, often the first 10 minutes can be difficult, and then you get into the flow of things and it's really natural and everything's fine. And it's amazing to me how much of our pain and discomfort is self-generated. It's generated by thoughts rather than actual physical reasons, physical sensations. It's almost all of it. It's almost all of it. Like 98%, something like that. I would go so far as to say 98% of the fear we feel, the discomfort we feel, the uncertainty we feel, all of these negative emotions are self-generated. And now there are some times where fear is completely natural, and it's a good thing to be fearful. When you're being chased by a lion, or when you have, a really massive deadline or something, sometimes fear can push you into it and help you overcome procrastination. But in the most part, it continually astounds me how much of our fears and negative emotions are generated by ourselves and are actually optional. There's a saying, I wish I could recall it correctly, but I'm not going to be able to, so I'm just going to paraphrase it. But there's no reason to experience pain twice. In other words, there's no reason when you're anticipating some negative event or some painful thing, a workout or something stressful, there's no reason to feel it twice. There's no reason to feel it before and during. When we truly internalize this, we can rid ourselves of about 98%, maybe more, of the fear we experience. I hope you found this useful. I would love to, if you agree or have similar experiences, I would love to hear them, and we'll talk tomorrow.